Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome, guys. Today we're going to be discussing a concept in Aqeedah. It's called Anthropomorphism or Tajsim. Okay, so you have heard this concept because some people mujassima, they're anthropomorphists, and a lot of scholars in Islamic history, they have been against this concept or this idea. So we don't want to be anthropomorphists, right? Wa alaikum salam. We don't want to be anthropomorphists, right? Sorry about that. So what does it really mean? Why is it so bad? Anthropomorphism and stuff. And I feel like maybe people don't even understand what it is. So basically, maybe the definition of it will be like transferring our human qualities onto God, for instance. But it's not just God. It can be anything. It can be transferring your human qualities to a tree. When you hug a tree and you think the tree is like happy, or you think like you can transfer things, your human qualities or things we derive from our own experience, and then we transfer it to God, like God has that. That is anthropomorphism. Now, there are many different types of it. So even when we get to the deepest level, some things you might not think is anthropomorphism might actually be. So take for instance, we're going to talk about just the physical one today. I want to give you some analogies to think about it. So I never got the idea of talking about things you don't know, you've never experienced, you don't know what you're talking about. Like, you don't even know. You just know it's a concept. And then we just stay there. How about we think about it ourselves? So, this is what I did. I said, okay, let me think about something. Do we have human limitations? That's one. Do we have human lenses on? You see, when you have a human lens on, you start to see everything in human lens. And what if we cannot avoid our human lens? What if we are stuck with our human lens? Such that everything we see is kind of anthropomorphic. Some people even call it anthropocentric. That anything we see, that's how humans see it. There's nothing we can do. So, will everything become anthropomorphic in that way? Not necessarily. It's not our perception that is the problem here. It's when we make it an ontological statement about the thing we are observing. If I see something in blue, it's not yet problematic until I say it is blue in and of itself. Do you understand? That's one analogy. So, let's talk about, for instance, in Aqeedah, they talk about, for instance, Yadullah. Okay, for instance, Yadullah. So I just talked about, why is this problematic? Why do some people want to affirm it ontologically? And then they say it's not a body or something like this. And some people just came out and say it's a body. And people are having problem conceiving of nobody as. So they will say, is it that the body or there's no body? There's no middle ground in there. So is that something has a body or it doesn't exist? That's one way some people think. Is it that something is like this or there's no distance? There's no middle place. So I wanted to say, let's think about it together. Let's reason about it. And I saw like the best way is you yourself experience it. What do you think about this particular issue? So I looked at myself and I say, I have two hands. Now, one way to get to where I'm going is, let's start with, what is the best amount of hands that someone should have? What is the best amount of hands? Is it 2? Is it 3? Is it 4? Is it 5? What would be like the objective amount? Because we know other animals don't have 2 hands. There are many, they have 4, some have 5, some have 6. What is objective? Is it 1 that is objective? Or is it 2? Or is it 3, 4? I'm asking you, which one do you think is the best? If you want to use what comes to you naturally, you will end up saying it is 2. It has to be 2 because we humans, we have 2. Yeah?
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Jazakallah. Thank you, bro. MashaAllah. So you have to say that it is 2. 2 hands. Okay? And you see 3, if you see an animal that has 3 hands or has 4 hands, they look weird. They are not human, right? So you see, like, everything you see, it has to be human. Like, look at your fingers. Imagine your fingers were equal length. That is even weird. That is already weird. It cannot be equal length. It has to be like this. It has to be unequal. Even that level of, we pay attention to that. If you have a being that his fingers are equal length, to us humans, that is weird. That is weird. It doesn't look like us. We only see perfection in something that looks like us. Imagine a being that doesn't have a nose who said that being looks weird. Have you seen Voldemort? Oh, that is weird to us. Do you understand? That we have our human lens on and everything we see is in that light. It has to be something we can see, body. And if it's going to be compared with us, we're going to have a kind of feeling towards it like, that is, we are better than that, right? But that's not even where I'm going. Now, let's go back a little bit. Let's go back. Let's talk about, there's this, I think it's in the Bible, that says that we are made in God's image, okay? But many people don't give that in a thought. Are we made in God's image literally? If it is literal, it has big problem. There's a big problem right there. God will wind up being a man. Because what do you mean by made in God's image? Is he a woman or a man? You see, this is why many scholars, they want to condemn this whole idea of comparing God and man together. They want to eliminate any kind of thing like this. Because tell me, there's a being that looks like me, that is made in my image literally. Is that going to be the best human being? The best structure of a human being? What else could it be? You know, that's what we think about. And a lot of scholars also, take for instance, they want to deny spatial dimensions for God. One of the reasons is that whatever dimension it is going to be limited. Is that going to be so small or is it going to be too big? You know, so some scholars, they want to deny that God is not bigger than us in like degree, in like who is bigger in space. No, that God is not greater than us by degree. You know, God's goodness is not something you can measure. Do you understand? God is beyond. That's why they use the category. It's not that God is not in space. God is beyond it. So when you say, is that something has dimension or it doesn't have dimension? No. Is that something have dimension? It doesn't have dimension. But in that it doesn't have dimension, there are two categories. It doesn't exist and it is beyond dimensions. You see, if you cannot understand that, I'll make another video, by the way, talking about the cliff, how you can go above the cliff and not fall into nothingness, such that you'll be able to understand that it's not everything that is not in our human lens, human understanding, that has to be necessarily non-existent. No, it can exist, it does exist, okay? And the alternative will be Tajsim, will be anthropomorphism. And we are trying to deny that, isn't it? So, you know, actually I forgot I was fasting. I was about to just drink this. So this brother gave me, may Allah bless him. Anyway, what I'm trying to show you is that we cannot imagine any being that is not human and is going to be like better than us. We humans, we see everything as human. It has to have two legs. If it has one leg, that's a big problem. If it doesn't have two hands, that is already, is it that it's going to be scary? It's going to be weird. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's going to be some kind of, you know what I'm saying. You understand, like, imagine you see a being that has one leg or five. You're going to be scared. Like, what is that? Not scared of it that it's going to harm you necessarily, but you don't like that. We don't want to, even when we see other human beings, they lose an arm, we feel like we don't like looking at that because we feel like they've lost something. But imagine a human being that has an hand, one hand coming from his chest. We are like, our mind is built in such a way that we are like, no, that's not right. When we look at other animals, the way they walk, the way they are, we are like, even like, So to me, we don't want God to be in that kind of category, such that when we see God, we'll be like comparing ourselves with God. God should be beyond all of that. God is beyond anything you think about, any comparison of hand and physical, anything physical. Let's just remove that one, because we understand physicality and we understand the shapes in which things come, at least to our knowledge here. You know, in another video, I will show you that if you take the idea of experience, I can get you to where you would deny these things. So many people want to say, we don't know how God is. Even though they are firm like hands, they will say, we don't know how it is. The hands are there, like, it's not, how would I say, it's not power, it's not something you can interpret away. It is really, really there. And a lot of scholars say this Tajsim, But they want to say, no, we didn't say his body. We denied the body. But I want to show you that if you actually go through the experience of understanding what you're saying, you see like you're kind of affirming the body. But even before that, I don't want to just charge you like, hey, you're affirming the body, there's nothing you can do. I want to show you that let's talk about something. When we talk about the concept of tafweed, okay, when we do tafweed, we consign the meaning of things to God. Why you should actually take this position rather than affirming something I have no idea about. So I thought about it like this. We take all our experience, all the things we have experienced in the past, we are experiencing right now, and we could possibly experience in the life of this world. We put them in a set and we say, God is beyond that. All the things we know right now and we could ever know in the future, in the life of this world, we know only physical stuff. Our experience of, if you describe anything to me, it's going to be based on my experience of the things I've seen before, experience of trees, things with size, things that are in time. If you tell me anything beyond that, I don't understand what you're saying. If I want to really, I will take my concept and put it on it. Anthropocentric. Anything you tell me, you describe for me, it has to be in light of what I know as a human being. But when you not take the extra step of saying that's how that thing is in and of itself, it's not just me interpreting it, it is like that. That is a step too far, in my own opinion. And we need to say, wait a moment, you can do tafweed. You don't need to even interpret away. You can say, we leave the meaning to God. God knows the meaning of these things, but it's definitely not what we know. It's definitely not what we know. Because what we know is physical stuff, is this, all those things I've described for you, that's what we know. The things we don't know is going to be outside of what we know. Do you understand? It's not going to be something we already know. No, we don't know it. And we cannot know it in this life. So we leave the meaning to God like that. And we know it's not distance. Because if we know it's distance, we are already affirming it. We know it's not distance. It has to be something only God knows. When you say you know it is this thing, you're already affirming physical stuff. You cannot then say you don't affirm it anymore. I don't want to make this like a, how would I say, a sectarian video per se, but I want you to think about it yourself. Don't you see like a being that has 3 hands is weird? If you think that is weird, it's because you think 2 hands is the right thing. A being with 3 fingers is weird. If you give me a being that has 3 fingers, that's weird to me. Why you have 3 fingers? Why you don't have 2 or 1? But 5 is the right amount because I'm a human being. You take 3 fingers is bro. That's why we want to remove all these things for God. That God is not a being that has 5 fingers or 2 fingers. God is beyond it. It transcends this stuff. God is beyond those kind of things that we have experienced in this world. We are not going to find a being that is just like a human being. No. Whatever we're going to find is going to be a being that is totally transcendent of all our physical limitations and human anthropocentric views. God is transcendent and beyond us. ليس كمثله شيء وهو السميع البصير. Anyway, this is just my view. I'll make another video talking about this verse, ليس كمثله شيء وهو السميع البصير, where I'll show you how tafweed should be the safest position. Why would anyone be against tafweed? I don't understand this. If you're really scared about this issue, why don't you just take tafweed? You don't have to do a ta'til, interpretation and all stuff. Tafweed. Okay? So anyway guys, let me see what you guys think in the comment section. See you guys later. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.